So today our topic is radioactivity. So let us put the heading radioactivity. Put the heading radioactivity. So radioactivity is a phenomena in which there is spontaneous emission of highly penetrating radiations. So it is a spontaneous. It is a spontaneous emission of highly penetrating highly penetrating radiation from heavy elements from heavy elements. So such phenomena is known as radioactivity, and the elements which shows radioactivity, they are known as radioactive elements, and the rays which are emitted spontaneously, these rays are known as radioactive rays. So these rays are basically of three varieties: radioactive rays. So these are of three kinds, or three types. One is alpha particle, another is beta particle, and third is gamma particle. Third is gamma particle. Now this alpha particle is basically helium nucleus. It is helium nucleus. Means from the helium atom, if we remove two electrons, then the remaining thing, which is only helium nucleus, so that is the alpha particle. Therefore it has two charge, plus two charge, and beta particles are fast moving electrons. These are fast moving electrons. Therefore they have minus one charge, and gamma particle is neutral particle. This is neutral particle, and this is electromagnetic wave. It is basically electromagnetic wave. Therefore the quanta is termed as photon. For all the electromagnetic radiation, the quanta of energy is known as photon. So these gamma particles are photon. Now if we have uh, a source of radioactive elements, and then there is emission of alpha, beta and gamma particle. Let us say there is emission of alpha, beta, gamma particles. So if we apply electric field after emission, if we apply electric field, then let us say here it is the positive field and here it is the negative field. Then these beta particles will be deflected towards the positive plate, towards the positive electrode, and these are the beta particles, and the alpha particles will deflect towards the negative electrode. So these are alpha particles which are positively charged, doubly positively charged, and then gamma particles will remain unaffected because they are neutral. Therefore they will not experience any effect of electric field on themselves. And similarly, if we apply magnetic field, then also they will deflect in some direction depending on the direction of magnetic field, following the Lorentz force law, which is force is equal to qv cross b, where q is the charge, v is the velocity, and b is applied magnetic field. So using this equation, they will feel a Lorentz force, and because of that they will deflect in the curved path, and this deflection will depend on the direction of magnetic field. So these are the nature of radioactive particles, and they are unaffected. The emission of the emission of radioactive rays radioactive rays are unaffected by physical condition physical condition or electric field or magnetic field or magnetic field. Magnetic field means before emission, if we change certain physical condition like the pressure and temperature, then these pressure and temperature will not affect the emission, spontaneous emission of radioactive rays. But after emission, when they come in the atmosphere, then if we apply electric field or magnetic field, then they will deflect accordingly. But before emission, the application of change in physical condition or electric field or magnetic field will not affect their spontaneous emission. So this was discovered by the scientist Henry Becquerel. And therefore these are also known as Becquerel rays. Now because there are three varieties of radioactive rays, alpha particle, beta particle and gamma particle. So now let us see their behavior one by one, or their properties one by one. So come to the alpha particles. So here I am reading the properties of alpha particles. So these are straightforward things and there are nothing much to understand in this. Alpha particles are deflected by electric and magnetic fields, and the direction of deflection shows that they are positively charged. So their direction, and also because they are alpha particles, helium nucleus, therefore they are positively charged. Their small deflection in field indicates that they are heavy particles having greater inertia. So alpha particles deviate less in comparison to beta particles. It means that the mass of alpha particle is more in comparison to beta particles. The value of E and E by m of alpha particles as determined by Rutherford shows that the charge on alpha particles is twice that of a hydrogen ion and their mass is 4 times that of hydrogen. Thus an alpha particle is the nucleus of helium atom with mass number 4 and atomic number 2. So this we have already discussed, that if we remove 2 electrons from the helium atom, then we will get the helium nucleus, and that is the alpha particle. Velocities of alpha particles vary from 1.5 to vary from 1.5 to into 10 power 7 meter per second to 2.2 into 10 power 7 meter per second, but the velocity of all alpha particles emitted by the same element is the same, although it differs from element to element. Means if one element is chosen and there is emission of alpha particles from one element, then the velocity will be something, and if we choose another element, then the velocity may differ. They ionize the gas through which they pass. Their ionizing power is 100 times greater than that of beta particles and 10,000 times greater than that of gamma rays. So ionizing capacity of alpha particle is largest among alpha, beta and gamma. They affect the photographic plate feebly. They are scattered by nuclei of heavy elements like gold. Alpha particles have very small penetrating capacity, 1 by 100 that of beta rays and 1 by 10,000 that of gamma rays. They are stopped even by 1 millimeter thick aluminum sheet. So the ionizing capacity of alpha particle is large, but the penetrating capacity is less because they have less velocity in comparison to beta and gamma particles. The range means the distance traveled in air of alpha particles varies with the radioactive substance. The initial velocity, the range is proportional to the cube of velocity and the nature and pressure of the medium. It varies from 2.7 centimeter for particles from uranium to 8.6 centimeter for particles from thorium. So range means the largest distance through which it can go into the air. So if the alpha particle is emitted from the uranium, then it can go up to 2.7 centimeter, while if it is emitted through thorium, then it can go up to 8.6 centimeter. So these are a few properties of alpha particles. Now go to the beta particles. Now beta particles are deflected by electric and magnetic field, and their direction of deflection shows that they are negatively charged. Measurements of E and E by M of beta particles reveal that beta particles are fast moving electrons. So, because the beta particles are produced when one neutron is decayed into proton and electron. So, this electron is termed as beta particle, and this is nothing but the electron. But the difference is that this is coming from the nucleus, whereas the normal electron is from outside the nucleus. It is revolving around the nucleus, but this electron, which is termed as beta particle, this beta particle is coming from the nucleus when the neutron decays into proton. So this is the difference between beta particle and the electron. So beta particles are fast moving electrons, and the velocities of beta particles emitted from various substances range from 0.3 c to 0.99 c, where c is the speed of light, which is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. So we see that the velocity of beta particle is larger than that of alpha particles. Their penetrating power is greater than alpha particle, means about 100 times, and they can pass 1 millimeter thick sheet of aluminum. Their ionizing power is low, 1 by 100 the ionizing power of alpha particles, and hence their range is large. They affect photographic plate more than alpha particles. They produce fluorescence in zinc sulfides, calcium tungstate, barium, platinum etc., and they are rarely scattered while passing through matter. So larger be the velocity, more will be the penetrating power, and less will be the ionizing capacity. Now come to the gamma rays. Gamma rays are not deflected by electric or magnetic fields, which shows that they do not carry any charge. They are electromagnetic waves like visible light of very short wavelength, ranging from 0.005 angstrom to 0.5 angstrom. They are highly penetrating. Their penetrating power is about 100 times greater than that of beta particles. They can even pass a 30 centimeter thick iron plate. Their ionizing power is very small, about 1 by 100 of the beta particle. They affect a photographic plate more than beta particles. They produce fluorescence in barium platinocyanide, and they are diffracted by crystals like X-rays. So as I already mentioned that gamma rays are electromagnetic waves. So let us see the complete spectrum of electromagnetic waves. So this is the complete spectrum. So in the middle we have visible range, then infrared, then microwave and radio wave. On opposite side of the visible we have ultraviolet, then X-rays, and then gamma rays. So in this side frequency is increasing, and on the other side it is the wavelength which is increasing. So because the gamma rays have the maximum frequency in the electromagnetic spectrum, therefore they have the highest energy, E is equal to h nu. So their penetrating capacity is maximum. Now let us compare the properties of alpha, beta and gamma rays. So if we compare the nature, then we find that the alpha particles are a helium nucleus, beta particles means fast moving electrons, and gamma rays are electromagnetic waves. Then charge, it has +2 charge, beta particles have -1 charge, and then the gamma rays are neutral. Now rest mass, so rest mass is the rest mass of the nucleus, which is 4 into mass of the proton. Then rest mass of beta particle means the rest mass of the electron, which is 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kg, and the rest mass of photon is 0. Then the velocity, so velocity of the alpha particles is least among alpha, beta, gamma. And then the ionizing capacity, So ionizing capacity is maximum for the alpha particle and it is minimum for the gamma particle, and the penetrating capacity has reverse order. So penetrating capacity is minimum for alpha particle and it is maximum for the beta particle. So this is the comparison among alpha, beta, gamma particle. Now let us go to a new page and let us discuss the Soddy-Fajan displacement rules. Soddy-Fajan's displacement laws. So there are three laws. The first law says that at one time, at one time, only one type of particle, one type of particle means alpha or beta may be emitted. Gamma particles may emit along with alpha and beta particles because they reveal only the change in the energy, but alpha and beta particles, in the emission of alpha and beta particles, either it will be alpha particle or it will be beta particle at one time. Then in the same rule, at one time only one atom, only one particle, only one particle emits. Means either it is alpha or beta. If it is alpha particle, then only one alpha particle will be emitted, and if it is beta particle, then only one beta particle will be emitted. So this is the first rule. And then second rule is that due to alpha emission, atomic number will decrease from Z to Z minus 2 and mass number will decrease from A to A minus 4. Means there will be decrease in atomic number by 2 and the decrease in mass number by 4. So let us take one example of uranium. Uranium 92 238. So when it emits one alpha particle, it will change into thorium 90 and 234. So this is the equation. And similarly for the beta particle, due to beta particle emission, atomic number will increase. It will go from Z to Z plus 1 and the mass number will have no change. Means A will remain A. So there is no change in the mass number. So it will create isobars, but there is change in atomic number from Z to Z plus 1. So there is one example, and that example is of thorium. When there is decay of thorium by emitting beta particle, then it will emit Pa234, but the atomic number will increase 90 to 91. So this is for the beta particle. These rules are known as Soddy-Fajan displacement laws. Now come to the next topic, which is the radioactive disintegration. So put the heading radioactive disintegration laws. The first is that uh, it is characteristic of material of material. It has no effect of physical condition, physical condition, electric field, or magnetic field, or magnetic field, or any chemical process, or any chemical process. Any chemical process. Its rate cannot be increased or decreased. So this is the spontaneous emission. It is characteristic of the material. We cannot change the emission, or we cannot change the rate of the emission. Then it depends on the law of probability, on the law of probability. It means that which atom is going to disintegrate. It is just a matter of chance. One cannot control that which atom is going to disintegrate. It is chosen, or it is selected by the probability rules. Then fourth is the rate of disintegration. The rate of disintegration. The rate of disintegration is proportional to the number of atoms present at that time. Present at that time. So minus dN by dt. This is proportional to n. This is proportional to n. Dn by dt is the rate of disintegration, and n be the number of atoms present at that time t, and the negative sign indicates that the number of atoms are decreasing with increasing time. So with this equation we can derive the final equation, and that final equation will be n is equal to n naught e to the power minus lambda t. So this is the radioactive equation, radioactive disintegration equation. Now we have to derive this equation, and this we will do in the next page. Which is n is equal to or minus dn by dt is proportional to n. Now start to derive the radioactive equation. So minus dn by dt is proportional to n. Now if we change this proportionality into the equality, then it will become dn by dt is equal to minus lambda n, where lambda is some constant known as decay constant. Known as decay constant. Now this equation can be written as dn upon n. is equal to minus lambda dt. Now upon integrating, we will have ln n means at natural base e, this is equal to minus lambda t plus some constant c, which is constant of integration. So right here, upon integration we will get ln n is equal to minus lambda t plus c, where c is constant of integration. Now if we apply the initial condition means when time is equal to 0, then the number of atoms is equal to n naught, n is equal to n naught. Then we have the value of c, and this value of c will be ln n naught. So now on substituting the value of c, now we have ln n is equal to minus lambda t plus ln n naught, or this can be written as ln n upon n naught is equal to minus lambda t, or taking the removing this log, it will be n upon n naught is equal to e to the power minus lambda t, or we can write the equation as n is equal to n naught into e to the power minus lambda t. So this is the basic equation for the radioactive disintegration. That is, at any time t, the number of atoms which are present, n is equal to n naught into e to the power minus lambda t, where lambda is decay constant and n naught is the initial number of the atoms. So now we will derive few more terms, and one is the half-life period. Half-life period, and which is denoted by t half. Let's just denote it as t half. So it is the time in which half of the atoms will disintegrate. It is the time in which half of the atoms will disintegrate. So using the previous equation, our master equation, which is n is equal to n naught e to the power minus lambda t, we can find out the value of t half. So our t is equal to t half, and then n will be n naught by 2, means when t is equal to half life period, then n will be n naught by 2. So let us substitute this value. So we have n naught by 2 is equal to n naught into e to the power minus lambda t half. Then it will be half is equal to e to the power minus lambda t half, or 2 is equal to e to the power lambda t half. Now taking natural log of both sides. Natural log means log at the base e. Then it will be ln 2 is equal to lambda t half. Now if we want to convert ln 2 natural log on the log of base 10, then we will multiply it by 2.303 into log of 2. Log 2 means it is at the base 10 is equal to lambda t half. So t half is equal to 2.303, and then value of log 2, which is 0.3010, and divided by lambda. So this multiplication is 0.693 divided by lambda. So this is the half-life period. This equation is the half-life period, which is inversely proportional to decay constant. So half-life period means that half of the atoms will disintegrate into half-life period, and then in another next half-life period another half will disintegrate. So in this way we see that each atom has different life, because some will disintegrate at very first instant, then the some will disintegrate after some time, and even others may disintegrate after many years. So the lifetime of each atom is different, and therefore we defined here the average lifetime. We defined here average lifetime. Average lifetime, or this is also known as mean lifetime. Mean lifetime, and this is denoted as tau. So average lifetime or mean lifetime. So what will be the average lifetime? It will be the sum of the lives of all the atoms, of all the atoms, and divided by the total number of atoms, divided by the total number of atoms, total number of atoms. So suppose that at any time t, number of atoms present is equal to capital N. Then between the time t and t plus dt, dn number disintegrates. So because dt is very small time interval, it means that these dn numbers of atoms will have the lifetime t. So we can say that dn number of atoms have lifetime t. So total life of dn atoms is equal to dn into t. And average life is equal to integration from 0 to infinity dnt, where t is ranging from 0 to infinity, divided by n naught, where n naught is the total number of atoms. Now we can find out the value of dn here. So dn means, because we have n is equal to n naught e to the power minus lambda t, so dn is equal to n naught into minus lambda t e to the power minus uh, lambda t. Let us cut this first. N naught e to the power minus lambda t, then minus lambda into dt. This is the value of dn. So now we can substitute this value, and again this n naught e to the power minus lambda t is again equivalent to n. So it is again n into minus lambda into dt. So let us substitute this value. Then average lifetime tau is equal to this is 0 to 1 upon n naught, then 0 to infinity the value of dn, which is minus lambda, then n naught e to the power minus lambda t into dt, and then this multiplied by t, this t. we have already 1t, this is 1t, so this multiplied by t, so this is equal to n naught cancel, and then we have lambda outside, and then 0 to infinity minus t into e to the power minus lambda t into dt. So now we can integrate this term by the because this is the multiplication of two factor or multiplication of two terms. So by integrating we will get tau, and putting the substituting the limit 0 to infinity, we will get tau is equal to 1 by lambda, 1 upon lambda. So this is equal to tau. So this is the relation. We have two equation. One equation is that t half is equal to 0.693 upon upon lambda, which is decay constant, and other equation is tau is equal to 1 upon lambda. So we can also find out the relation between t half and tau. If we take the ratio of t half by half, t half upon tau, t half upon tau, then it will be 0.693. It means that t half is less than tau. T half is less than tau. So average lifetime is more than the half life period. So this is all about the different properties of the radioactive particles and radioactive decay. Now, in this lecture, we have discussed what is radioactivity, the rules of the radioactivity, then Soddy-Fajans displacement rule, the different particles which are alpha, beta and gamma particles. Then we discussed the properties of these particles individually, and also we compared the properties of alpha, beta and gamma particles. Then we derived the equation for radioactive disintegration, which is the master equation, that is n is equal to n naught into e to the power minus lambda t, where lambda is decay constant. Then we derive the expression for the half life period and also for the average life period or mean life period or mean lifetime. So now let us stop here.